and we are live. We'll just give it a few moments for people to join in. For those of you that haven't joined us before, this is our third live chat, and I've got a great guest for you today. It's Curt from Creed Marketing, and Curt will tell you a little bit about himself in a moment. And we've got a few people actually watching, Curt, so that's a great thing. Curt, welcome to the third, as I said, live industry chat. This started off as a bit of a let's suck it and see type thing, and we've had a couple of great guests so far, so you've got a lot to live up to. Remember, guys, this is a free question and answer, so if you've got any questions about SEO, websites, growing your business online, feel free to pop them in the comments, and we'll do our very best to answer them. If we can't answer them right away, maybe Curt can look at them a bit later for you, no problem at all.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll just jump in there. What I will say, I like kind of messaging people, like private message. So yeah, feel free to just jump into private message and I'll send me your site or send me what you've been doing so I can look at the strategy if you don't want to share it here, and then I can just give you a bit of feedback. So yeah, feel free to do that.
Great. So everyone already knows me. Curt, do you want to tell us who you are, a little bit about your background, a bit about you? I can see you're working from home there in the kitchen. And congratulations on the little baby boy, as you were telling me earlier. So congratulations on that.
So I'll whip back then. How long ago was it? It was probably about 6 years ago, 7 years, 6, 7
I think it was I met you at the first leisure supply show.
Was it when I won?
You just come back from traveling, and you were in flip flops in the winter. And
like it when I was like from Australia. So basically what happened is I traveled Australia and ended up working for a ton of different companies and just going doing that sales roles, admin roles. There was tons of them, and I came back to the UK and thought, you know what, I don't really want to work for anyone else anymore. I'm done. I want to work for myself. So my parents were in the bouncy castle industry. They've been in it for quite like years, like 10, 15 years, I'd say, at that time. And I thought, oh, I'll get into events and entertainment and get some assets and kind of work out what's out there. So I went to that first supply show, rolled the bouncy castle, won the bouncy castle. So got my first asset. And then we was kind of working alongside each other. Like I was trying to build up my parents' inflatable company. But then we came across Ben at Big Fun, Ben and Chris, and then purchased a photo booth. Kind of decisions went through my mind of like what we're going to do with it, if it was right. And yeah, purchased one of them, the green screen dream machine back in the day.
The world's most annoying soundtrack for a photo.
Oh, yeah. The Eddie Murphy is the world's most
awesome product though. They are really awesome.
Oh, yeah, great. Yeah, love it. But when you sit next to it in the event, for God knows how, kind of dwells on you. But yeah, purchased that and then started OMG. So OMG Entertainment's just had one photo booth, and then we eventually grew, and then we had kind of 3 or 4, and then we started buying other products like magic mirrors, selfie pods, like retro pods, and whatever else, and then a few more booths. And then before we knew it, we was growing at a rapid rate, and like we was getting a lot of staff and a lot of bookings, and it was purely down to marketing. And our efforts went into SEO. So what SEO is, for those that don't know, is search engine optimization. And it's the process of displaying your website for people that are searching online for specific queries. So we was targeting things like photo booth hire Essex. And then we started to branch out to Kent, Hertfordshire, Surrey, Sussex, London. And we started ranking for all of those counties as well. So there was a lot of effort that went into that, and we was getting, well, I think it was about 30 inquiries a day at one point. So there was a hell of a lot coming in, which means we could charge a lot more money because we was trying to keep up with the demand. And our prices were quite high, and that's how we grew because our margins were so big. And then towards the end of, when was that? 2018, I'd say, I then sold OMG and transitioned into a marketing agency, which kind of was already running because I had a few contacts that I knew in the industry that wanted a bit of understanding on how we grew so fast and what we done and how we developed the website. And where I was helping people out, and I still do to this day, But where I was helping people out, I kind of thought, you know what, there's a bit of money to be earned here. Like I could charge some people and get some money instead of just giving free advice all the time. So I ended up starting this company, and it started doing quite well. And then I thought, yeah, that's what I want to do. I don't want to do events anymore because it's just taking away my weekends. And I'm sure everyone knows you barely get a weekend in events. And yeah, in a new relationship, it was just really hard being taken away all the time. So it was a nice transition, and working that Monday to Friday was really good, and sold OMG, and then started Creed Marketing. Creed Marketing was running for a little bit. Then I merged Creed Marketing with a design agency called I Am Emily, and she's my business partner now. And we took on all of her clients that were effectively looking for marketing. So they had a good brand, they would have a good website, but they just needed that next step.
The next push.
So, yeah, and we was the next bit in the formula. So yeah, kind of fell on our feet with it a little bit. And now we're doing a good run for this first year that's gone past, just over a year now. And now, yeah, I'm still pushing. We're specializing in the events industry a little bit, and Emily's background's in property, so we're actually speaking with developers in property, so we've got a few of them, like estate agents as well. So yeah, events and property, that's what we seem to specialize in at the moment.
Those are the two target areas.
Yes. So yeah, OMG is no more. Like, they're still a client of ours, we still work with them, but not so much going out and doing events, which is a good feeling.
It's under new ownership now, so someone else has taken the reins for that, as it were.
Absolutely, yeah. So
what's Creed like as an agency? Are you a big 20, 30 staff, or is it a small type of operation? Tell us a little bit about the staff that you've got and the background of the staff.
So it's more of a boutique agency, and like with anything, when I go into it, I'm always like, oh, I want to grow it big, and I want to have like tons of staff, and I kind of feel like with the agency now, what route we want to take is we want to have a core team. We want to have like one team member of each sector. So whether that will be PPC or a paid expert, or a SEO, or a web developer, or a designer, or a content writer, they're the main ones that we have, but we want to just have that fundamental team that we can then put all the projects through, and then just know that it just goes from like point A, B, C, D, E, F, and then out the other side it goes. So that's what we're doing.
Okay, that's pretty awesome, really. That you've gone from being this traveller over in Australia through the whole events industry, and you've seen the whole picture, and you understand what the customers maybe that you're working with are trying to achieve, as it were. Which, from my point of view, I've used a couple of. I sacked my marketing agency. We were using. We gave them notice in November. It was on a 3-month retainer, so it was January, I think it was, that we actually got rid of them finally.
Yeah.
But they didn't have a clue. So they were running our Google AdWords campaigns, and they really didn't have a clue. And we'd sent them emails to say about segues, for instance, that we'd stopped hiring. Yet I went back through it and had a look and realized they were still trying to target people for segues. It's a product we don't even own or even want to own at the moment. So
that's it. Like with the events industry, you have to know it. Like, you can't just, it's not a case of throwing a product on a website and then marketing it. There's a lot more to it than that. And that's why we kind of feel like, out of our event campaigns that we're doing, we're pushing them because we know what we're doing with them. We know that like certain products go out on certain times a year, and we know that retargeting needs to be over the quiet period, and you can build up your audience with a tracking pixel over a certain time frame when the buyer intent is low. There's loads of stuff that you can do in the events game. And then also the wedding industry, for companies that are in the wedding industry, like January, February, absolutely crazy for inquiries, and that's where most of the budget should be squeezed into to gain inquiries. And a lot of companies kind of take a year or 2 years to understand the trends, whereas we can kind of tell people those trends off the bat. So it works quite well.
Yeah. So in terms of SEO, if we talk a bit about SEO for a bit, how difficult is it? Is it this thing that you need to be a specialist in? Do you need to pay someone like yourself, or is it something, I know I do my own, but I use outsourcers as well for various bits. But in your opinion, is it something that people need to spend thousands of pounds a month to agencies? Because that's the sort of figures that many will charge.
Look, I think it always comes down to how many hats you wear in your company. And wearing the marketing hat in your company can always be quite dangerous, because if you don't know what you're doing, you're spending your time in the wrong areas. And that's when it almost becomes detrimental to a company in regards to your growth. Like, you have full intention to spend time on marketing, to grow your company, to get more sales, to generate more revenue, la-di-da-di-da, but your focus is taken away from other areas. So I always say, if you know the basics of marketing, absolutely, like, spend time in the areas that you know. If you don't, it can take months and years and decades to learn the perfect marketing campaign. It's not just read a few courses online and pay for them and you're an expert. It's all about trial and error and seeing what works. So it's a kind of hard question to answer, and it depends on the person. But what I will say is that SEO isn't hard if you know what you're doing. And I think where a lot of people trip up on is the link building side of things. I know there's a ton of people that know how to do their on-page SEO perfectly, anything down from like content and your silo structure or your meta titles. That's kind of lipstick on a pig. But what actually ranks your website is link building. To get a good quality, high domain authority link to your site that's relevant will outweigh a ton of the on-page SEO that you're doing. So that's where the issue lies. People are spending too much time on their on-page and not focusing on building links and building the authority of their website.
Yeah.
And it can be as easy as building one link that is the difference between bottom of page one and top of page one. So if you're going to spend time on it, then link building takes a long time. So you can spend areas on your time on other areas of the business. So that means outsource it to an agency. You would pay more, but the return that you get on that is huge. You know, like if you're spending £1,000 per month, you can easily 10x that from a campaign. You can easily get
like Grant Cardone there.
Oh yeah, 10x everything. Absolutely.
Those that don't know what we're talking about, Grant Cardone's an American motivational businessman that's got a whole thing about 10xing your lifestyle. But actually, if you read it, it's actually only 3xing.
yeah, it's hard to 10x everything, but he still goes on with 10x and everything.
yeah. So in terms of links, in terms of link building, you mentioned about high level domains, would you pay a website to have a link on their website?
So there's this fine line. So in SEO, there's this fine line between white hat SEO and black hat SEO. Well, the fine line is grey hat SEO. Now, everything that you're going to do to build links is going to be grey hat SEO, because what Google outrightly said is you cannot intentionally ask for links and get links to manipulate the search engine. Right. Although everyone is doing it. That's how you rank. There's other ways to rank, but there's no real other way to move the needle like link building. So you need to be building links. And the only way to do it is either sit there and wait for someone to link to you organically, which never happens, probably happened a few times since I've been doing this, or you can proactively go out and talk to people, build relationships and get the link. So normally when you're doing that and you're proactively asking people, you're going to have to pay, because what's in it for them? They're not just going to get content sent to them, upload it to their website, spend that time making sure it's perfect, sourcing the images, and then you're getting the benefits and they're not so much getting any benefit from it. So they're going to put a fee on that. And I'd say,
what can you expect to pay for something like that?
It depends on the quality of the website. So a good quality website, let's say anything above a 50 domain authority that gets, domain authority is just a term that we tend to use, which is like how powerful the domain is, although it's kind of like a term that everyone knows, but the traffic is really what we look at. So a good quality website will be favored by Google. it could have a domain authority of 70, but if it doesn't rank and doesn't get any traffic, then it's not a very good website. So when I say domain authority, I kind of mean also look at other factors in there.
How can someone find out what that domain authority is for a website?
There are tools, and Neil Patel has a really good tool. It was free up until a few months ago where he monetized it, but I think it's $10-20 or something per month. It's a good tool to use. He's got like a whole array of tools in this one portal that you can sign into, and that I don't use it, but I know that is a good foundation to run an organization.
Neil Patel.
Neil Patel, yeah, he's kind of like a guru in the SEO game, so he's definitely worth looking into. And he has like a loads of how-tos. Like he would tell you how to build links and how to write content and how to internal link your site and all of like the main stuff to do with SEO. So if you have someone that you want to go and learn this from, apart from me, go watch Neil Patel, and he'll teach you how to do everything. And he has videos all the time and a ton of content and a ton of podcasts. So he's good to watch. But what just losing track of where I was. So yeah, when I say domain authority, always look at the traffic and how it ranks, how a website ranks, because if it's favored by Google and that website is linking to your website, then obviously Google likes that website, thinks it's a good domain, it's linking to your website for a reason. Google puts 2 and 2 together and goes, right, this must be a good site. Your website starts increasing, and that's how you start gaining some serious traffic.
Okay. And so in terms of building these links, should they be relevant to the industry, or does it not matter? So getting a link from, say, for not like you're likely to, but from the BBC direct to your website.
So yeah, I thought you were just going to say getting a link from BBC outright. That would be phenomenal.
Yeah.
But
it's not likely to happen. But should they be relevant to the industry?
So yeah, there's different things to look at with links. So first of all, there's different types of links. You've got citations, you've got guest posts, you've got link placements, you've got government or .gov links, you've got blog comment links, 2.0 links. There's loads of different types of links that you can get. So not all links from websites will rank your site, because I'm trying to keep it as basic as possible without going into too technical SEO. There's no follow and do follow and rah. But let's just focus on one site simply linking intentionally to another site. And I tend to focus on blog posts on this because it's one of the easiest links to get, and it's less complicated. Someone writes a blog, they put your link in there or reference something in there and put anchor text to your website, and then you're getting that link. Now, to tell the difference between directory listings or citations, if you was to go onto Yelp, for example, and put your website onto the directory, it does class as a link. Now, what that helps Google understand is where you are based and builds that trust signal, it's called NAP consistency, which is name, address, phone number consistency. So this comes down largely to local SEO, which I know in the events industry, 90% of companies want to focus on local SEO. So citations or directory listings should be looked at as a good link to get. So you can do like a directory search in the UK and find probably anywhere between like 30 and 50 directories, and it doesn't hurt to sign up to them all. And that's pretty much manual labor that you can do yourself. And like I said, tells Google where you're based, tells Google your name, address, phone number. When someone types in a keyword that you have on your website plus the location, Google puts 2 and 2 together and goes, well, I know this company is based in London, and I know that the searcher is looking for rodeo balls. So rodeo ball hire London, this company offers it, they're based in London. There you go, searcher. You can have a look at to see if that
on Google, you tend to get the sort of places, listings, and that type of information first, rather than in the organic.
So you still get the map pack on Google listings, and that does contribute. So directories contribute towards that as well. If you don't have your main keyword in your map pack, which is the Google, it's not Google My Business, but you know, the Google free pack that you get. If you put your keyword in there as well, it contributes towards ranking in that. And that's kind of free traffic that you can get. And if you get as many reviews on Google listings as you possibly can, then that's also a ranking factor as well. And if you reply to them reviews, that's another ranking factor for just that map pack.
You should acknowledge the reviews that people are leaving you, say, thank you very much, but it was great.
Absolutely.
I enjoyed.
Yeah, definitely. And the more reviews you have, the more you can reply to, the more people are generating content for that map pack. And yeah, effectively, the higher up you're going to rank. Because if you can compare this yourself, nothing that I'm saying is anything that's kind of a secret. You can just type in your keyword that you want to rank for and look what's working and what isn't. Like, that's how we do a lot of our research. So you was asking earlier, Adam, in the private chat about like competitor research. And yeah, whilst we don't look directly for our competitors, we obviously look for companies. So the best thing to do is, if you're targeting a keyword, jump on Google, type in the keyword and see what's ranking, and look at that competitor that's in the first place, third place, fifth place, and do what they're doing. So how many times are they using the keyword? What meta titles are they using? How much content do they have on the page? Where have they got their links from? And all of this can be looked at through the Neil Patel tools that I was talking about. So it's not hard to find, just run those through the tool. And Google's telling you what it wants. It's saying, like, I want this page to be called Rodeo Dashball Hire London, and I want 700 words of content on there, and I want the H1 to be called this. And you know how I want that? Because everyone's doing it on the top page. You just replicate it, do the same thing. And then that's as far as on page would get you. If you're doing all of that correctly, then it's just the link building that becomes the next task to do. So link build on page SEO only gets you so far.
In terms of the on-page SEO and the physical content, obviously we chatted last week with Aftab, who was saying about a little bit about writing content and things like that. But what, in sort of your experience, how would you structure content on a page? What is the must-haves, rather than going through verbal diarrhea of rodeo bull, higher, rodeo?
Yeah, so other SEOs will sit here and say there's NLP, which is natural language processing, which is what Google picks up on, or semantic indexing, latent semantic indexing. There's loads of different views on content. When I write content, we just write content. Like, we probably focus on the keywords, but you naturally mention that when you talk. If you write an article naturally, you're going to talk about like rodeo bull hire in different ways, and Google's going to pick up on it. So there's no point in finding a load of different ways to say rodeo bull hire, with spaces, without spaces, flipping the words around, putting London at the start, London at the end. Like, there's no point in doing it. Just write about it naturally. And that's what Google wants. Google doesn't want you to try and manipulate the search engine. That's why it says don't do that. And that's grey hat. So natural writing is the best way. But what I will say is, whenever you write content, you need to signpost your website. So what that means is, if someone lands on that page, you need to tell that person what to do. You need to tell them where to go, what to click, where to call, how, not necessarily how much it is, but maybe how to inquire. Because if they read the content, it could be fantastic content, but it's not going to position them in a state to inquire if you don't write it correctly. So this stems from what a lot of issues happen on websites, because everyone automatically assumes that they need more visitors to their website. So I'll just kind of bring it back a little bit. If you have 1,000 visitors coming to your site every single month, and your website only converts at 1%, that means you're getting 10 conversions per month, right? Yeah. Now, what a lot of people instantly think is, right, I need to get 5,000 visitors to my site to get 50 inquiries per month, which, yeah, it's an expensive way of doing it, to kind of 5 times your traffic. But you can increase the conversion rate of your website from 1% to 5% with very minimal cost. and get more inquiries that way. And some of our clients have like an 8% conversion rate on their website, and they're not even doing SEO yet. We're just kind of doing monthly maintenance on their site and CRO, content rate optimization. So it's not always the best idea to send traffic to a site that isn't performing well. It's kind of reverse engineer it a bit. How many people convert on that site? Is it worth sending more people to it? Is it ready yet? And then answer that yourself, and then decide whether an SEO campaign's right or a PPC campaign's right. Because sending traffic to a site that performs well, it's just wasted. That doesn't perform well, it's just wasted money. Okay.
And do you see that a lot with your customer base, of people just wanting to throw thousands at things, just spend money in order to solve the problem of a bad site?
Yeah, it is always the issue. Like whenever someone comes to us with an SEO problem, we always look at what could be performing better on a website. So an audit of a website for us, so you have an SEO audit and you can look at all of the ranking signals on a site to see what you can improve. But an audit for us, we look at how well that site performs in regards to when someone lands on it. So how many clicks is the nearest conversion? So are they landing on the home page and have to click 4 other pages to then inquire? Because that's too many clicks. You need at least 1 to 2 clicks on every page. Like they're the sort of things that you need to look at, rather than just jumping straight into getting more traffic to the site. Because you can do a site build for, I don't know, like, well, you can jump on BCN and do a site build, and there's a small upfront cost and a monthly charge on it. And yeah, I dare say that could be performing better than someone's existing site that isn't with BCN. So that's probably worth more in the initial phases than what an SEO campaign would do for anyone. But then when that converts well, and you look at Google Analytics or whatever, when it starts performing better, then that's the real time to start focusing on building traffic to the site.
Okay.
A lot of people come to us about that, and that we try and pitch it, and then we can do websites as well. We specialize in web design, so we can build them a website and then take them on the journey of increasing revenue to their company, rather than just being that company that slaps a few links to people and tweaks the content and ranks them. It's not always the best way to go.
I think half our industry are probably customers of BCN in terms of those guys they've certainly got the market share.
Absolutely.
But their system works. That's the thing. It does work. The online bookings, the ease for the majority of hirers, it's ideal. I know you used to use it with OMG, didn't you? In the early days, I know that.
Yeah, we used it. We started changing stuff for the photo booth hire industry, and I think Avtab might have adapted the photo booth hire package a little bit around what we were requesting at the time. So that, yeah, there's a photo booth hire thing.
So we've got a question from one of our viewers at the moment, Kieran Lander, and Kieran's asking, it might be a silly question, but when uploading a picture to a website, should the file name contain keywords such as jungle bouncy castle, or can it be picture one? He's got a mixture of both on his website.
So the file name comes down to the alt tag, I believe. I'm not as well up on BCN as I once was. So the file name should go into the alt tag, which is an on-page ranking factor. So I would naturally describe the picture. I wouldn't try and stuff your keyword in there. Should the file name contain keywords such as jungle bounce castle? It can do. It's not going to change much to it. It can just describe the image, basically. Don't try and manipulate Google in any way. Stuffing keywords into hidden places isn't the most recommended practice of SEO. But yeah, you can have multiple pictures and they can all kind of have the same alt tags or file names. So that's not an issue, but mix them up as much as you can. Describe them in different ways. That's what I do I build on WordPress. So I name the image as what it is. So if it's a person riding a bike, I'll be like person in grey shorts riding a bike. And then I would put that as the alt tag as well. So hope that helps.
Kieran says, cheers for answering. Remember, guys, it is obviously it is an opportunity to ask questions. We've got quite a few people actually watching the live stream at the moment. So I would like to jump in and talk a little bit about, obviously we've talked about SEO, talked a little bit about content, we've talked a bit about the general organic stuff, but there is obviously another side that people use, which is Google AdWords. I think they've rebranded, haven't they, to call it something else. I know, but
I don't do the AdWords in my agency.
Yeah, but in terms of AdWords, obviously, do you find a lot of your customers are using AdWords effectively?
Yeah, so AdWords is a tough one because every agency that you go to will always be like, we will optimize your AdWord campaign and it will run flawlessly. But then whenever someone else will look at it, there's always adaptations you can do. If you have an AdWords campaign that runs for you and works well, then you can always ask an agency to review it and see if they can contribute anything towards it. But yeah, there is always something you can do with a PPC campaign. Would I be running it on a website? The thing to do, this is how we always used to set up PPC campaigns. So if you have a new website, you're a new business, or your website doesn't rank very well and you want to invest in SEO, what we like to do is utilize the PPC campaign to generate revenue to then reinvest in organic search. So that would be SEO, because you can spend 4, 5, 6, 7 months on spending money on SEO and seeing very little results, because this is a long game thing. This isn't an overnight result situation where you build links or you tweak the on-page SEO and you're getting results the next day. This could take 3 months, 4 months. So what I would suggest is that start a PPC campaign and then track the amount of revenue that you generate from it. And instead of taking that money back out and spending it on something else like purchasing more equipment, always focus on spending that on SEO and reinvesting that into marketing, because then you've got 2 on the go, and then you transition out your PPC and increase your SEO, and then that's where you're going to get the most power from, because you can stop SEO at any time, because the rankings will always stay for a long period of time. They won't always be there forever, because people will outrank you because they're going to be building links and doing on-page SEO and adding more content. However, once you're in a position, you're there. I dare say you're going to stay there for a considerable amount of time. So you can either continue developing other areas of your website with SEO, or just say, right, let's sit on it for a little bit and see the results that we've got. So yeah, I think PPC is a good starting platform, but that's not right for everyone, and different businesses work different ways. So
obviously there's different budgets as well, because I know I've got friends who might spend £10,000 a month on AdWords. Now, personally, I wouldn't be able to afford spending £10,000 a month on AdWords, because the return I'd want on that, really, that's an astronomical. I want an astronomical return on that.
Yeah.
So what would you say people, to be effective, what sort of budgets do people tend to set to be effective?
Look, I think those £10,000 per month AdWords campaigns aren't just born out of nowhere. They take a considerable amount of time to build up. So this is why I'm saying to transition that spend into SEO is the prime opportunity, because you could, if you're spending 10, like, you wouldn't spend 10 grand a month on SEO unless you was
I actually know a couple of people who are in the industry.
On SEO or on PPC?
On PPC.
Oh yeah, I know people that are spending. Yeah, I think we're thinking of the same person potentially. But transition the PPC budget, because you'll get stuck in that routine of, yes, it performs well, but if you keep on spending that 10 grand per month, you're going to be stuck into that. You're going to be sucked into it, because you don't want to cut the budget, because you know that your inquiries are going to go down or your revenue is going to go down.
It's turning off the tap, isn't it?
What's that?
You're turning off the tap.
Yeah, and that's it. Like, and this person I was speaking to that spends a considerable amount on PPC forgot to turn it on. One, like, realized that the card had expired or something, and then it wasn't running, and they were like, why are we not getting any inquiries? Like, we haven't done anything different. And then like, it's because their their PPC campaign, sorry, was off. And that's like a massive hit on the amount of inquiries you're going to get. But get into the early phases of reinvesting. Now, to start off on a PPC campaign, going back to the question, it's how much you can afford to spend. I know that I've seen people spend £300 on a campaign, and it just takes longer to establish the results. It's not like with PPC, you need to evaluate it. You need to change the keywords. You need to remove out your negative keywords. I'm bringing all this up from memory because, again, I don't do PPC. I leave that with our paid ads expert. But he says that it can take months to finally get something that converts well. And what I would suggest is the more you spend, if you can spend more on PPC, it's beneficial because you'll get faster results because you can chop and change on keywords. You won't hit a budget on your cap. There's nothing like that that can prevent you from developing the campaign. So for this industry, I'm going to say, yeah, a minimum of 300 to spend just on ads. Like, if you have an agency fee on top of that, then it's worth paying that as well. So 300 just on ads, and transition that when you can start seeing a return on your investment into SEO.
Yeah. So I've got another question from one of our watchers. Daniel Merritt basically says, bad reviews on Google. What's the best way to deal with them apart from avoiding them? Anything we can do to tackle these? Have you got any tips?
Yeah.
We were chatting about your great December that you had. And
luckily I don't get much
after
I'll pay them off.
You might want to tell everyone about it. I don't know.
I'll tell everyone after. But basically, with bad reviews, yeah, that's a good question. So you have to answer them head on. Like, you need to say the improvements that you've made, or there's no point in defending it and starting a row on over review because it makes you look bad. You just need to go in and say, thanks for the feedback. We've taken this on board at this circumstance. This is what happened. However, we've improved this going forward for our next customers. So this will now happen. We really apologize. Hopefully our refund amount of this and our next free hire would settle this for you. You just got to swallow it because everyone messes up. And I've had my fair share of events going wrong, and I've had my fair share of staff being rude and whatever else. And there's a lot of uncontrollable things, but the worst thing to do is defend it because it makes them get angry and it just escalates it, and it makes you look worse as well. So apologize, accept it, offer as much as you can, because offering a free hire is only going to lose you X amount of revenue, whereas their bad review and how it's perceived to other people could lose you a hell of a lot more. So answer it, don't ignore it, give a really detailed response to it is the best advice that I can give on that.
And the people you tend to find who tend to deal with bad reviews, if you look at TripAdvisor and how, that's what I do, is look at TripAdvisor and look at how some of the big hotel chains deal with their bad reviews on TripAdvisor, and they're exactly what you just said. They are, we're sorry, we messed up, we've done this, we've done that. Here's a bouquet of flowers.
Exactly. Like when you're looking for a hotel to go on holiday and stay in, like you look at the bad reviews. That's the first thing I tend to look at. I look at the bad reviews. I'm like, if they don't answer it, I'm like, oh, this person said this. Like, oh, I don't think I want to go there now. There could be 1,000 great reviews and 10 bad ones, but it's the way that they've handled it that's the main deciding factor for me. With that said, and you might be asking, Daniel, because like a lot of people say, yeah, flag it as spam, report it, and try and get it removed. But I've only had that happen a couple of times where I've managed to get a bad review removed. So that was a few years back. So I don't know if it's even a thing anymore. So I would just suck it up and reply to it basically and tackle it on. That's the best way to do it.
So if you could give people any advice about must-dos and must-don'ts in terms of SEO, and what we've talked a bit about black hat, grey hat, white hat, and then what are the sort of 5 black hat things that you really shouldn't do, because you might get instant results or short-term gain, but it's going to be a long-term pain when Google pick up the arse.
So my number one thing is like not to do. Don't go on Fiverr and buy links. Like the more links isn't the better. Like in fact, just don't go on Fiverr and buy links unless you know what you're doing, because you can be bitten quite severely if you get terrible links. And buying like 1,000 or 2,000 or even 10,000 links is going to hurt your website quite significantly. Back in the day, like back in years ago, it used to be a case of the more links that you have, the better you rank. But since like there's been numerous updates, like that's no longer a thing. Penguin updates put a very big stop to bad quality links as well. So don't build bad links is number one, or don't go on Fiverr and build bad links. Number one. Number two is don't stuff your content with keywords. It looks terrible and doesn't read naturally for the user. And I dare say, if you're ranking number one and you've stuffed it, yeah, okay, fair enough. Like I'm all for a bit of black hat SEO every now and then. But if you're ranking number one and you have a load of keywords stuffed in your content, don't touch it, just leave it because you're ranking number one. However, if you're trying to rank number one and you're not there yet, and you've got a load of keywords stuffed into your content, so you mean, like, for example, I'll relate back to my industry. If I want to rank for photo booth hire London, and I was saying photo booth hire London is great because we do photo booth hire in London, and if you're looking for photo booth hire in London, we are a good choice for photo. That's keyword stuffing. And if you remove that out, chances are you're going to rank a lot better than just putting loads of keywords in. So that's number two on the list. God, there will be a lot of them. Number three. What I will say is the on-page SEO side of things is when done correctly can be powerful. And building links when done correctly can be powerful. So there's not really many black hat things that you can do nowadays that are going to improve your rankings. So just research it a little bit. I'm not into black hat SEO as much as I once was. So sitting here and saying there's loads of technical things that you can do, because they don't work, we don't really look into them anymore.
No, so Google have cottoned on to them. That's the thing, and that is, Google have cottoned on, and they're penalising. I've heard of websites being taken offline in terms of Google being removed from Google because of
penalty.
Like that. Sorry,
it's called a manual penalty where you just get removed off, and you got to fix the issue.
Yeah. And that's the last thing you want to do if you've just spent hours and hours and hours and thousands of pounds building an SEO campaign, then being taken off.
Definitely. I think the best thing to do for like white hat SEO, and what it goes overlooked a lot of the time, and if you don't do this, it's worth kind of spending this time in lockdown looking at your on page. But what a lot of people miss is internal linking and linking up their site for the user journey. So that means if you're landing on the homepage, and I know BCM websites have the list of products or categories down the side. However, in your content, you can actually link to those categories as well. And you can almost start this, it's called a silo. So you almost start this silo. So your homepage could be the start, or the category could be the start, and then that could link to 3 other categories or 3 other products. Then those products can all link to each other, and then you can link to your blog posts as well. Your blog post can link up to your categories, and then it kind of creates this almost like pyramid scheme that you've got going on, where you're sending, it's called link juice. So you're sending link juice around your site, and not only helping your website rank better in the eyes of Google because it's passing around your authority around your pages, but also it's good for the users as well. So if you are missing the internal link structure, I would definitely have a research into it and throw some internal links in there. And what I've recently started doing a lot more as well is that the most recent update from Google that came out a couple of weeks ago, that like a lot of sites are fluctuating, and maybe some people's sites here might have dipped a little bit, but it's basically the more authority that you have on your website, and the more content that you're supplying for people to show that you're an authority in this niche, is a better way to rank. So I would rather have like 50 blog posts, and not blog posts that just write about nothing and like, this is what we've done today, like actual blog posts. I see loads of them in this industry, and like people think blogging is about writing like a journal or a diary like it used to be. But now Google wants to fulfill its searcher's intent. So it wants to display a full in-depth article so that user doesn't have to Google again. So it's all in one place. So that's why some of these articles that are like 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 words that answer more than just the question that they're searching for are ranking so high. So like you'll notice that if you're typing in like, what's the best product to hire in the summer, like you'll have a full in-depth guide about all of the different products, rather than just going gladiator joust, here's the link, job done. So, and then you can build content around that as well. So how to provide entertainments for kids in the summer, or or setting up a fete in the summer, the do's and don'ts, and it has 1,000 words on it. So these are the kind of things that you need to be writing about, and that will really change your authority in the eyes of Google. And then you can also start attracting natural links from that as well, because no one's going to link to a company that's going to hire rodeo bulls in London, whereas they're going to link to a company that's providing the do's and don'ts of summer fates in 2020 or 2021, and it's got
it's definitely not going to be 2020.
No, yeah. So yeah, writing content in depth, putting it on a blog, and writing something that's link worthy is a great way of obtaining links, building authority in the eyes of Google, and building internal link structure as well.
I know we've talked a bit about BCN. I know they have quite a good internal link structure that you just highlight and literally click it, and that future-proofs your website. So if you have a redesign or you change a template, or it literally sorts it out for you, so you haven't got to go back and change all your page structures and things like that. I've talked a little bit about that. I use it with ours. So in terms of the industry at the moment, are you guys getting more customers? Are you getting people obviously switching off marketing, which would be, personally, I think it's the stupidest thing to do, switch off the thing that generates you income. I talked a bit about this with that last week, where people rung up to cancel websites and that sort of thing. And actually, it's not really a wise thing to do, personally. That's my thinking.
No, I agree. I think there's certain types of clients that we have, and some clients want to get their name out there, and others actually have a full understanding of marketing. Now, we've transitioned a lot from existing clients that, I don't know if they're going to watch this, didn't have a real understanding of marketing. And then we've transitioned to clients that have an understanding of marketing, that know that now's the time to be putting their name out there and building a subscriber list, or getting inquiries, or tracking someone, or building an audience. And this is the vital time, because if you look at your traffic, I know it's dropped off, but if you compare it to the amount of inquiries that you're getting, you would probably be quite amazed about how many people aren't actually inquiring right now. And I think what would be the prime opportunity for everyone is to capture that for a tracking pixel and set up a retargeting campaign. Because right now, the buyer intent isn't there. No one wants, because no one knows when they're going to be out of this, and no one knows when they're going to hire a product or have an event or So when it is ready and people do start having an understanding, those people that have been on your site like 2 months ago, you can actually target once it's then back to normal. And retargeting is quite a cheap way. It's like a cheap version of PPC. They've already been on your site, and they've already built those trust signals. They already know who you are. They probably already trust you. You just need to get them to like you. So bring them back to the site, and you've done half the battle already, and it's going to be at least half the cost. So I think there's a lot of smart ways to market right now. And I think a lot of people aren't cashing in on these smart ways. And one, you got to bear in mind as well that SEO can take a lot of time. And if they're worried about putting in money in the busy times to spend in marketing, this time now would be the best opportunity, because they might not see results in the next month or 2 months. But hey, that doesn't matter, because no one's going anywhere in the next 2 months anyway, so it doesn't matter about the results.
People doing private hire stuff, but any of the bigger event stuff, it's not going to be for quite some time yet.
No, definitely. And you need to be focusing on the trends as well. Like December for Christmas parties, it's a tough one because it's so far away and we don't know what's going to happen. But I dare say that there are going to be some companies out there. Again, I'm predicting, I'm not saying this is going to happen. I dare say there may be some companies out there that might want to have that office party. Are they working in an office with each other? Is there like 30, 40 of them? Do they need equipment in there for a small office party? I don't know. These are just ideas, but it's worth targeting these search terms now, because if you don't hit them now, then you can always get them for 2021. Like, so Christmas party rodeo bull hire, for example, I'll keep referring to that. But you know what I mean? If you don't get it now, then you're going to get it. It's always going to rank, as I said earlier. It's just planning and predicting. And if you can predict right and you use this time wisely, then that's going to pay dividends, and you're going to basically be able to come back with a bit more revenue in your pocket than you did if you sat here doing nothing.
Oh yeah, definitely, 100%. The thing about this lockdown and this whole COVID-19 situation now is, whilst it's devastating for the economy, it's devastating for the people that unfortunately are going through it firsthand, it's a good time for anyone in business to really take a step back and look at their business and really drive their product and what they're offering and drive it forward. Obviously, we talked a little bit about earlier on that we're doing similar sort of thing with our side of the business of our events company side. We're really making sure we're ready to go when those doors do open again, because they are going to open.
Yeah,
it's a temporary closure for everything. We're temporarily closed, but actually, I think my personal feeling is once it comes back, it's going to come back stronger than ever. Because
there's going to be that period, isn't there, where
and companies, once they recover, they get over the whole difficulty of the financial side. And obviously there's been some great support available for small businesses as well as larger businesses. There's been some really good support there. I know they can't catch every single person and support every single person, but some of the support that's been out there has been brilliant, and actually that will enable people to make sure they can get through this difficult time and concentrate on their marketing. Use the time you're sat at home. You're not necessarily going into the office. You're not delivering bouncy castles on a weekend constantly. Use the time to market their business and really get ready to open the doors properly again.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's just the best time to spend a bit of TLC on your website. And is all of your content working well for you? Like, literally, there's a tool that's really good. I don't tend to share it, but I think I might. It's called Surfer SEO. And I think it's like there's a $4 trial or something like that, $7 for 7 days. And it is by far the most powerful tool I've ever used. And it's kind of like our little secret that we use in our agency, because everything that I'm mentioning today, where you look at your competitors and how they're ranking, you use this tool and then you put your keyword in there. It pulls up all of your competitors on that top page and it compares it to your website. And it says, right, you need to add an extra 300 words. You need to add this amount of keywords for this word. You need to add this amount. You need to remove this many H2 tags. And it's basically pulling what Google wants on that first page and then telling you what you're not doing to get on that first page. And it's straightforward as you like. It's the most easiest thing. You just, if you need to write more words, write more words. If you need to put more keywords in there, put more keywords in there. But that's what you should be doing on all your pages, all your product pages. Find what your competitors are doing well and what Google is liking, and then just copy that through using Surfer SEO. And that's where you should be spending the time right now. And
but not copying their content and writing your own content.
Absolutely.
You'll start a bouncy castle war off where people start copying other people's content. And people do spend a lot of time thinking about what they're writing. And that does annoy me if someone just goes and copies the content onto their own site. We've had it with us, and the stupid person copied our content, but also copied the fact they were talking about our company within the text. The description within the description is the company that is. But people are stupid like that. They are a bit stupid like that. Hey, listen, we're nearly getting to the point where we're going to need to call it a night, because I'm sure we all want to. You've got a little boy to. I'm assuming he's probably in bed by now, though.
He's out with Ellie. She wanted to go out for a walk today, her first bit of freedom, so she's taking him out.
But so you were telling me about you've got put together a bit of a sort of a help guide that you use in your agency. Do you want to guys about that?
Good point. Yeah. So we call it the Bible, and it's the Bible of SEO for our agency. So what we look at is a step-by-step guide on what we do with every single client that comes into our agency. So that means anything that I've said today and every technical ranking factor there is, and it tells you a point and then talks about it a little bit underneath it and explains it in a way that you'll understand and how to do it. Now, by all means, I'm not saying that I've explained every point in great detail, but it gives you an understanding of how each point works. And most of them, I tell you how to do it quite easily. It's probably in the steps to say, right, now go on to Search Console or sign up using this URL, go here, look at this, and it gives you all the links and everything. And like I say, it's what we do in our agency. And because I was in the photo booth game, I released this article and changed it to photo booth specifically. I was using keywords for photo booth hire and magic mirror hire and selfie pod hire. But what I can do, if there's enough interest, and I was selling this product, the Bible I'm selling, I'm a bit of a Mormon. I was selling the Bible, and it was 50 to 70, depends on how much I knew the person. But what I can do is I can discount it right down for him, and it just covers my time to rewrite it a little bit. So if I get enough interest and I can cover my cost to spend time rewriting it, I'll be more than happy to do that. And it gets a lot of good reviews. Like I've probably got about 70 copies gone to the photo booth game, and everyone said, yeah, really powerful, really works, it looks really good, and they've started implementing it. And also, if you purchase the Bible, I'll any questions that you get stuck on or any points that you might think are a bit confusing, like ask me, and then I can guide you through each one. And I think it's a really powerful tool because it gives you guidance on what to do, because a lot of people are in the dark with SEO and everyone's like, well, do I write blog posts, or do I change my content that's existing, or do I build links? I've put it into an easy guide to start on the easy stuff, and it builds you up to the more complex stuff like building links. And I've even given you some examples on how to build links, so you can literally go and build them straight away. So yeah, it's a 200-point document or 201-point document. Everything you need to know on the very start of SEO to the very end of SEO, and it will keep you busy for the whole of lockdown, or however long we're left in it for.
At least the whole of lockdown. I've actually read the book, and we've implemented probably only about 2% of it so far. We're working through it slowly, but it's really good. And how much are you charging for that?
I'll put a price on it. 25, I'm guessing, will be a good amount to charge.
Best way for people to get in touch with you, add you on Facebook.
Add me on Facebook, drop me a message on Facebook. And at the same time, like, I know it's a document that you're paying £25 for, and some people are like, is it worth it? But I'm letting you know, it's covering my time to rewrite it. So if I get 5 people, it's probably going to take me about 6 hours to tweak it all up and everything else. So kind of pays out. But if you want any help beforehand and you want me to prove my worth to you, don't hesitate to ask, because I'll literally run an audit on your site, tell you what's not working, tell you what is working, and then we can take it from there. And if you are interested in the Bible, then more than happy to give you a copy.
Yeah. Okay. So those people that are a bit more interested about talking to Curt, maybe about marketing and AdWords and SEO on an agency basis, just to let people know, it's Creed Marketing, isn't it? Creed.marketing.
Yeah, Creed.marketing.
I'll pop it on the screen there so people can see. So it's Creed.marketing. You can drop them a message. Sounds like my dogs when they come back from their walk.
Yes.
So we're going to leave it there. But thank you so much for taking the time, Curt, and answering a load of questions and talking to me about SEO and AdWords. And hopefully this video is going to stay on our Facebook. We've also got Magic Air Inflatables YouTube channel that we'll upload it to as well, so that it will stay there. And what I'll do is I'll pop some links.
Well, that is me. I should really go and answer that. Right on time.
Yeah,
right.
I'll see you soon.
Thanks, Adam. Take care, mate.
Take care. Bye. So, guys, thank you very much for tuning in. Next week,